At the Federal Reserve, we are strongly committed to achieving the monetary policy goals that Congress has given us: maximum employment and price stability. Today, in support of these goals, the Federal Open Market Committee kept interest rates near zero and updated its assessment of the progress that the economy has made toward the criteria specified in the committee's forward guidance for interest rates. In addition, in light of the strengthening labor market and elevated inflation pressures, we decided to speed up the reductions in our asset purchases.
All right, so first, before we get into this technical analysis, let's check the Federal Reserve balance sheet. So they began tapering here back in 2018. Their balance sheet bottomed out around 3.7 trillion here in September 2019. If you remember, this is when the repo rate spiked up to around 10%. There was a liquidity crisis. There was an imminent financial crisis, regardless of the situation here. So the Fed began to initiate not QE, basically, was what they were calling it, saying it wasn't QE, but obviously it was. And then here, back in March, they magically got the excuse they needed to increase these asset purchases exponentially at a rate that we've never seen before. If you want to look at recent purchases, I see no taper going on here. There's a consistent pattern. They're continuing to buy and buy and buy. So until I see a reduction in this balance sheet, I will have to conclude that obviously they're not tapering. What they did is they reduced the minimum asset purchases, but there is still no cap. They can still purchase unlimited assets. So no tapering has occurred. Historically, if you look, the S&P, the overall market, tracks this very consistently. So keep an eye here. All right, let's get into this technical analysis. Let's look at Bitcoin here. So this pattern I'm seeing here is similar to what we saw before. We do have some support down here. This thing wicked down on large volume down to 42,000. Here we're still in a downtrend though, unfortunately. We've got a twist in this cloud here. So we're going to have some resistance around this 52 to 53,000, I would say, unless we see large volume coming in. It seems like, in my opinion, the kind of the hype has slowed. So there was a lot of hype when these Bitcoin ETFs came out. And like I mentioned, now that Wall Street's involved, I don't want to be involved anymore in a coin like this, but also they can manipulate it in any way they want. And if they don't want people using alternative currencies, they can just short this thing. So yeah, not a fan of Bitcoin anyway, but at this point, the momentum does look to be slowing and we could get further downside, although there is support down here around anywhere from 40 to 42,000. So in the moment, I think we'll probably just chop around within this range for a while. Monero. So luckily we popped back up. There's a key level around maybe 200 or so. 200 to 215 here. And so we popped back above that. So I would say 200 is a key psychological level you'll have to watch here. So we don't have a lot of volume coming in. We do have the price going up. This is a decent move here, but we're still below this cloud. I think we'll probably chop around. As long as we stay above 200, we're in pretty good shape with this one. And when we get more stimulus, or when the psychology turns around, that's a good launching point for another move higher. But at the moment, I don't see anything spectacular going on. Probably just chop around within this range here. We've got this was a strong previous support level if you look around 180. So I think we hit that level, we bounced straight off that level. And now the major resistance would be anywhere between 280 and around 295. So that's the range to watch here. If we get above that, that would signify a larger move. But at the moment, I think we'll probably stay in this range and just kind of float around for a while. Pirate Chain is a really interesting one here. If you look back, all these moves that were rejected here, we had volume that was much higher than previous volume. We had that here, we had that here, again, a little move here. This volume from these moves was actually higher than the previous average volume here. But look at what we had here. So we had this massive exponential move down, and I'm sure that just shook out a lot of people here. But look at the volume coming in. This sometimes suggests ending volume when the most people capitulate, shakes everybody out. This thing popped back up, and then if you look, I was concerned it could roll over and then again test this trend line here. But we have continuously green candles here. So probably the major resistance here is going to be this large wick here where it got rejected, maybe around 162. And then again, of course, up around 180 to $2 is really where we should look. But this could signify an ending move here in this downtrend. It's hard to say. The issue is we are still in a downtrend. However, sometimes when you see these moves, when you have this large volume coming in, that could signify an end in the trend. So what we would want to see here is a higher low form followed by a move to the upside. So this is at a critical point here. This is one that I would watch carefully and consider. There could be a trade here coming at this point, and I'm sure a lot of people actually caught this here. From 80 to 130, you're already looking at over a 50% move. So that's really hard to time, though. That's really dangerous. But if we get a higher low here, some volume coming back in, this could be one at an area where there is definitely potential trades possible here. And I think it got cheap enough that maybe people are willing to get back in here. All right, Dero. So Dero, it looks like we're just getting a retracement here. So the high was 26, the low around 950-ish. So we'll probably, it looks like we're coming up and testing this double bottom here, which is really the bottom of the neckline of this initial head and shoulder. So you have this initial shoulder, head, shoulder. We have that neckline there. A lot of times what will happen is this thing will go below, test this neckline, and that's the critical point. A lot of times it goes lower, but it is possible that it pops back up like it did here, but again, that failed. So that would suggest we're going to have a lot of resistance here around $15. So it's quite likely we'll see potential rejection and definitely some resistance around the area that we're approaching here. So somewhat of a dangerous area. If we did pop above that, that would be bullish, and we would have to reassess the situation. The initial target would be 26, but I see this having a lot of pressure here around that $15 area. So I got a lot of questions about Epic Cash. I think obviously because it's mooning at the moment. I really don't like the wallet, to be honest with you. I don't like the layout. I think it's not intuitive. I think it's going to be hard to get people to adopt this over other coins that have much cleaner wallets that are much easier to use. But that doesn't mean that you can't make money on it in the short term. So here we're approaching a key level. Unfortunately, there's no good charts for this, but this is the best we have. So the top here is around 370. If we go below this top here, that would suggest it's likely the end of a move here. But a lot of times we do come down and get what would be around a 50% retracement from the bottom of this move to the top. So we're around that key level here. So if you see volume coming in and what looks like a price reversal, this could be an interesting area to enter a trade. These things move fast though, and it's really hard to hold these when you're asleep and you don't know if it's going to double or get cut in half while you're just sleeping. So this is a risky one, obviously a fast mover, but with this volatility, we will likely at least get a retracement from this small move here before either going down or making a complete reversal. So this is definitely tradable in the meantime. It's just a fast mover and it's hard to hold on to over several days because, again, you never know what it's going to do while you're sleeping. But we are at that key level here where if it would move higher, it would move higher around this level and we would see a reversal. Equilibria, small cap here. Again, the wallet was a little difficult to use. I really wasn't a huge fan. I'll have to look at this more. But here we're still in this downtrend. There's really nothing going on here. Normal move, so not much to say about this. We're in a downtrend. Looks like it could go lower from here, but there are other factors that play into this one, other content creators that could single-handedly make this reverse and basically make this thing go to the moon like Pirate did. You probably know who I mean. You can look in the description below, by the way. I have a lot of independent media that I've accumulated, which are hard to find. They're banned everywhere. And over the last basically 2 years since I started looking into all this, I've found a lot of very good people that give me a better understanding of how governments and economies work and, in my opinion, make me a better investor. So check those out in the link below. Ghost. So Ghost has been doing pretty decent here. We're still in the downtrend, but the momentum on the downside is slowing. So we had this trend line here. It looks like we did break above this trend line. Again, this chart isn't the best. This is all we have. But this thing gives you around 27% interest on your staking, and the staking is really easy to do. I have a video on that. So this thing could fall almost 30% and you could still break even in a year. I think the risk reward is pretty good here, and I currently hold this coin. Cloak coin. Cloak coin's pretty crazy here. I did expect a similar pattern. So what you see a lot of times is it'll spike, come down, spike. You're going to expect a spike again here. This will probably get rejected at some point. It's likely, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, it's really hard to say here. I don't have the tools to really chart this, but maybe 50, 60 cents. But we did have a good move here. Hopefully you all made something on this. I've been trying to figure out the staking on this thing. The staking is, I think, well, I'll have to do more research, but it's only 6%, so it's really not the best here. But what I do like about this coin is that the transaction time is faster than any of the other coins I've seen. The transaction went through in 3 minutes, 38 seconds. Monero and Ghost went through. It took about takes about over 20 minutes to go through. This one was way faster. However, again, the staking is a little bit difficult to figure out. So if I figure this out, I'm going to bring that to you guys. But this thing is going ahead and making a move to the upside. So hopefully somebody made something with that one. Masari, this thing has a really clean, nice wallet. This thing's just chopping around, going lower. I mean, I expect it'll continue this trajectory. We'll probably get a small move up and it'll just chop around. But the market cap is less than $1 million. So this is one to watch. Again, the wallet looks really good. It's really easy to use. So there's not much to say about that. This could get, if it gets more attention, this thing, it really appears to be very undervalued with a market cap of less than $1 million. Both Cloak and Masari seem to be undervalued, and I would say as well as Ghost. These three seem to have the most potential, that they haven't already had large moves, but they are decent options, I think, that can be used in the real economy. Iridium, also a tiny cap coin. I hate to call it a shit coin, but the wallet looks terrible. The only thing here, you can mine this easily, and I'm curious. I'll have to start mining this, but I think there wouldn't be too much competition in the mining pools, and therefore the rewards could be higher. So also, it looks like we have a slowing of the momentum on the downside. This thing really took a hit here, and we have this kind of bottoming pattern, this little triangle here, with the tiny higher low being made. So this looks like an area of support. Of course, if we had further downside, the real support levels down here around 0.00, maybe around 0.01. But there's a lot of upside here. You can see this thing launched. So we could see that again. Actually, I had a subscriber suggest that this was when, I'll just say it, the Dollar Vigilante was making his last pick, and they thought that it was this. So that might have been responsible for this spike. But it's hard to say if we'll get a move like that again, some type of retracement here. But if anything, I wouldn't really necessarily invest in this. I would just try to mine it and just see what happens. So yeah, guys, hopefully this helped. I hope you all had a good holiday. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.